I would say up to the pandemic, COVID 2020, I would say the industry was pretty old. Was not, we always had an MLS system for yacht sales. We had digital campaigns, things like that, but nothing was really there. There was not a whole lot of marketing being done except for the bigger companies. So what happened was I never invested money. I never invested a dime in marketing. Everything was word of mouth. And clients would recommend another client walking around the marinas. Oh, that's Felipe. He used to work for this guy. So I was getting clients like that. Pandemic hit. A lot of companies from different states that were on shutdown, of course, they saw Florida. Florida was booming. That's when I sold the most amount of yachts I sold was during the pandemic. I think I sold like over 20 million. That's when really yacht sales picked up here for us. And I wasn't investing in marketing. My competition was. And they still are pretty good. Now I have started doing that. But the majority of my clients are coming from referrals.
What's up, everybody? This episode is sponsored by ExitWise. If you're a business owner thinking about selling your company, whether that's now or years down the road, you need to know what your business is actually worth and how to maximize that exit. That's exactly what ExitWise does. They help you prepare, position, and ultimately sell your business by assembling a world-class team of M&A experts around you, guiding you from valuation all the way through closing. If you want to know what your business is really worth and how to increase that number before you sell, go check out exitwise.com and get ahead of it. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Big Hitters Podcast. I'm joined by my friend Felipe, who's a buddy of mine from Rise Up Kings, and he is in a completely different industry than anybody I've met. He does yacht sales and management. He's a former captain, and he saw an opportunity in the industry, and he jumped on it. And now his business is growing. They offer turnkey solutions for people with their boats, their yachts. And I'm excited to dive into it with him here today. Felipe, just tell us a little bit of the story. Like you were kind of talking before we got on the show, but tell us how you kind of stumbled into this space, the business.
Yeah, so I'll start way from the beginning, right? I'm originally from Brazil. I was born in Brazil in a town, coastal town near the ocean. I always had a passion for the ocean. Moved here. I was 11 years old when I first moved to Miami. With my parents, and always been in love with the ocean. I turned 16, found a booth, a dive shop booth, and went in, and they had a open water scuba course for $100. That's all I could afford, so I did it. The second I got under the waves, I fell in love with the ocean. I fell in love with everything, with the diesel smell of the fumes coming out of the engines, the boats, how the captain dressed and everything. So became a scuba diver and dive master. Fast forward, a dive master. I used to be in the computer business, computer industry. Quit that completely. I was making, like I was 19 years old, 18 years old, making $30 an hour, working for a subcontractor for Microsoft. And I quit that to go get paid $8 an hour at a dive shop where everything really took off for me in the boating industry. So the owner of the store, he loved me. I used to be a dive master on the dive shop's boat, the Lady Go Diver, famous Lady Go Diver. And I used to work for tips. And it was the best job I could ever dream of, diving every single day, guiding people underwater, meeting people from all over the state and all over the world, actually. And one day the owner approached me and said, "Hey, I want you to become the captain on the dive boat." And I was like, "No, I don't want to be the captain. I want to continue being the dive master because I want to go scuba diving." He said, No, you're really good with people. I need you up on the boat because the captains are too cranky, getting old, and you're fun. So I went to school, got my captain's license. I was forced to get my captain's license. And from the first trip, it was like amazing. Like clients loved it. I loved it. And that one thing led to the next. I always went to yacht shows. The biggest boat show is in Fort Lauderdale. That happens the end of October. end of October into October, and that's the biggest boat show, yacht show in the world. And since I was 15, 16, I used to go. A girl I used to have a crush on, she used to give me tickets from her job. The place she worked for used to give her tickets to go to the boat show. So she would give it to me. I would go to all these boat shows. One day, still working at the dive shop, I was walking and I saw Yacht Brazil, a booth. So I said, that's my chance to get in a super yacht. I'd never been on a super yacht, a big boat. I walked in. A friend of mine that knew me as a captain at the dive shop said, hey, they're looking for a captain. Why don't you talk to the owner? And I went there and I said, look, I have zero experience with yachts. And he was like, that's fine. Just come get trained. So I worked for free for a few months while doing the dive boat, and just grew, just started growing the industry, just started learning. Like I was working Sunday through Sunday, like I was in love. I've always been in love with the water, the ocean. So imagine driving a Bentley on the ocean. That's what I was doing for fun and for a living. So one thing led to the next. I was picked up by a big interior designer here in Miami. I think he's the number one interior designer in the US. And he hired me as his full-time captain. I did it for 5 years. I learned management skills. I learned how to be responsible with expensive things. And, it's I just saw a pain in the industry where yacht managements were sort of, was kind of non-existent. I would say it was mainly full-time captains taking care of boats. So I decided, let me start a company here and build a team. And 10 years later, here we are.
This episode is brought to you by Pierre Tax and Accounting, led by CPA Eric Pierre, a seasoned accounting and tax expert with years of experience helping individuals and businesses navigate complex financial landscapes. Whether you need personal tax planning, business tax strategy, bookkeeping, or financial planning support, Eric and his team are committed to helping you protect and grow your financial future with clarity and confidence. To get expert guidance you can trust, check out Pierre Tax and Accounting at pierreaccounting.com. This episode is brought to you by my friend Silas Lagoy over at ForgeMark Wealth. If you're a high-income business owner or professional and feel like you're getting crushed by taxes, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not stuck. ForgeMark Wealth specializes in advanced legal tax strategies and wealth planning designed to help you keep more of what you make, grow it efficiently, and actually build long-term freedom, not just income. If you're making serious money but don't have a real strategy behind it yet, I highly recommend connecting with Silas and his team. That's amazing. So now, how do people find you? Is it mostly referrals? Do you have any sort of ads? What are you doing to kind of acquire new clients?
Yeah, so up to 2021, the pandemic kind of took the whole industry into the digital world direction. I would say up to the pandemic, COVID 2020, I would say the industry was pretty old. Was not, we always had an MLS system for yacht sales. We had digital campaigns, things like that, but nothing was really, there was not a whole lot of marketing being done except for the bigger companies. So what happened was I never invested money. I never invested a dime in marketing. Everything was word of mouth. And clients would recommend another client walking around the marinas. Oh, that's Felipe. He used to work for this guy. So I was getting clients like that. Pandemic hit. A lot of companies from different states that were on shutdown. Of course, they saw Florida. Florida was booming. That's when I sold the most amount of yachts I sold was during the pandemic. I think I sold like over 20 million. That's when really yacht sales picked up here for us. And I wasn't investing in marketing. My competition was, and they still are pretty good. Now I have started doing that. But the majority of my clients are coming from referrals.
Referrals. Gotcha.
Referrals.
And then I'm coming from a position of naivete. I don't know about the yacht world, but help me understand, when does a boat become a yacht? Like at what length or what features, what makes something a yacht versus just a boat?
Yeah. So originally the name yachts comes from the Dutch. they built these boats. It used to be pirate chasers, right? So they were kind of sailboat looking boats, fancy, but it was very, expensive. It will normally be an expensive type of boat will be considered a yacht. The luxury, the equipment you have on board, things like that will consider you have boats which are the sample, the more basic type style boats, and then you have the yachts with the luxury and more than 2 cabins, 3 cabins, full galley, air conditioning throughout, generators, GPS, high end equipment, right?
Yeah.
And then you
Gotcha.
have the super yachts, the giga yachts, and it just keeps going up and up.
And are most of your clients, excuse me, are most of your clients from Florida, or are they out of state?
We have, I would say it's a 50-50. We have clients from Georgia. We have clients from New York. We have clients from Brazil. We have clients from Argentina, Guatemala, Florida. It's mostly, most of our clients moved here at some points. And, if you move to Miami, yeah, you got to have the apartment by the beach and you got to have the boat.
This episode is brought to you by 10x Nerds. If you're a business owner doing real revenue, there's a good chance you're overpaying in areas you haven't even looked at. Things like credit card processing, insurance, telecom, and more. 10x Nerds comes in, audits your expenses across 30 plus categories, and finds immediate savings. And here's the kicker. They only get paid if they save you money. It's a complete no-brainer. If you want to keep more of what you make, go check them out at 10xnerds.com. This episode is brought to you by Rakowski Law Firm. If you're a business owner or have built a level of wealth, but you don't have your estate plan dialed in, you're exposed. Rakowski Law Firm helps families and business owners protect their assets, avoid probate, and make sure everything transfers exactly how it should. This isn't just paperwork. It's a real strategy to protect your legacy. If you haven't looked at your plan in a while or don't have one, go to rakowskilawfirm.com. So you mentioned you'll deliver a boat all the way down to the Bahamas for somebody. If someone's like, hey, Felipe, I'm coming from Wyoming to come hang out on my boat, but I want you to deliver it to the first island in the Bahamas for me. Like you'll literally drive that sucker down there.
Oh yeah,
and meet them there.
Yeah, it's we actually have a team in the Bahamas. That has been my backyard, my passion. That's actually how I really fell in love in yachting, was going to Bimini. Bimini is the first island here near Miami, 60 miles. And I went there, fell in love. I couldn't believe that you had the Caribbean right there, right behind, our backyard. And so my clients, I have clients from Brazil that live full time in the Bahamas. I have, clients in, there are a few communities there with yacht owners, and we do support all of them. So I just came, just to give you a context, last week I did a 48-hour crossing from Nassau on a sailboat. The client is from Brazil. I never met him. This sailing catamaran, it's a 70-foot that I have for sale. And that boat did Europe, crossed the Atlantic over to Brazil, all of the Caribbean, and then ended up in the Bahamas. The captain left the boat to move back to Portugal. And they called me, somebody referred him to us, and he called, hey, can you pick up the boat? Can you put it on the market to sell? Can you pick it up in the Bahamas? I just went there literally last week to pick it up.
I love that. Yeah. Give me you got to have some crazy stories, man, of like stuff like that. Either that it went sideways or like, has Tom Brady called you to deliver a yacht for give me some crazy stories from your time doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah, so actually, it's funny you bring up Tom Brady. I don't know how you knew that, but he was a client of ours when he first got. We have a partnership. We are actually we have a service level agreement with the company Wire Yachts. A lot of people will call it Wager. Remember when he threw the trophy from a boat? Yep. He was in a really cool boat. That's the boat. So we have a service level agreement with them. We take care of all their boats in the U.S. So we support them in the Bahamas also. We support them in the Bahamas. And Tom Brady, when he took delivery of his boat, we were managing the boat for a short period of time. And then he downgraded again, and so we did meet briefly, very quickly. And but my team used to take care of Tom Brady and traveling the Bahamas. He kept it in the Bahamas for the most time. And crazy stories, there are so many. I'm gonna talk about, there is one. I had to take a boat to the Bahamas, and we had to leave. It was right after Christmas, and I didn't have a crew member at the time. He was not, nobody was available. I had to move because the weather window was literally the day after Christmas. And I decided to, actually I had someone, but he got tested positive for COVID, so we couldn't do the crossing. I shoot a text to one of my guys, and he was like hungover, 4 in the morning. And I was like, dude, look, you're the only mate I can take. So why don't you, come with me? I need someone to cross with me. I don't want to cross by myself on this boat. So he was fine. He was good. I'm driving the boat. I'm a safe captain, so I was the one driving the boat. And all of a sudden, halfway through the trip, I would say about 3 hours into the trip, in the middle of the ocean, I felt the boat was getting heavier, was feeling a little bit heavier. You kind of feel after you gain experience, you feel the boat, if you close to running aground, the water gets shallower, the boat gets heavier. Or if you have water going into the boat gets heavier.
Yeah.
So I told him, hey, keep an eye on the helm. I'm going to go in the engine room. The second I opened the engine room, it was halfway full with water. The alarm didn't go off. I'm glad I felt it. A hose clamp came off the exhaust that pulls all the water to the engine, and that was just flooding the engine room. So, that was a close call. I'm glad I found it. The second I opened the engine room, I told him, shut down the engine. The second he shut down the engine, the water flow stopped coming in. The bilge pumps started taking care of the water, and we were safe. But there were many. There were a few, breakdowns in the middle of nowhere. I had engine failures, and I'm out of communication. The only person I can call is the Coast Guard. But thank God I made it out of every single one of them, and no damage to the boat, no damage to crew. I've been blessed in that sense.
That's amazing, dude. I mean, you have to have a lot of experience to feel the boat is starting
Yeah,
to drag
yeah, yeah.
without even having an alarm go off. That's incredible. Felipe, let's just talk high level. What's going really well in your business right now, and what do you feel like needs some work and you're trying to like fix or solve for?
Yeah. I would say I really have to say that because it's been the biggest game changer in my industry, and that's God. That's being reconnected. I grew up Christian, walked off the path big time when I was 20 years old, and getting into the yachting industry was just crazy. You can only imagine, right? Miami, 20 years old, making a lot of money as a yacht captain. You were exposed. I was exposed to a lot of beautiful things that the world might call it beautiful, but it's not really. And 2 years ago, I had a comeback with Christ. Just walked into a church, and I had no idea I was going to a church. And the Holy Spirit just took a hold of me, and that was it for me. I was done. The old Felipe is no longer. And then I met Rock. I went through the program Refinery, and that was just a game changer for me. Like, I'll give you an example. I used to be a heavy drinker, and during Rock, it was like that's the door, that's the little, opening I had that I had to shut down. It was actually Coach Matt and TJ. Love those guys. They kind of pushed me to shut it down, turn that down, and I did. And 2 years now sober. Now I can see clearly. Like, it's the business is just, there's so many more opportunities. I've been high performance, 4 in the morning. This morning I was up at 3 in the morning, like doing a group prayer and, reading the word, going to the gym, exercising. And so reconnecting, realigning, recalibrating, that's the word I'm using a lot this year. Recalibrating with God, being aligned with God has been the best thing that could have ever happened to my business. Faith, family, fitness, finance. Can't go wrong with those four. And that's been a big game changer, big time. Also community, right? One thing going to Rock, I saw the vision that Skylar has. And so I decided to incorporate the same thing here. So we found Underway Mission Hope, which brings the help, brings a love to the islands and to isolated communities, right? I was just in Guatemala just before the New Year's. seeing an orphanage there that we're going to be working together with. So helping the community, being aligned with Christ has boomed my business. Like I'm just attracting great clients. I'm attracting bigger business. It's been great. And also, what was the second question? Sorry, I got carried
Well,
away.
so no, I love that, and I'm thank you for sharing that passion, and I love
Yeah.
that that's been a huge change. What's not going so well in your business right now? What do you feel like needs some work?
I would say the lack of marketing. I was really difficult. Like people used to say, you have to at least have an Instagram account, a page for the business. I was like just posting random videos, that I thought was funny. You
Yeah.
can actually see those all the way at the bottom on my personal Instagram. But I would say AI. I feel I did take a few courses. I would say AI is going to be but it's a friend of mine who's big in AI. He told me last year, he said, Felipe, 2026 is the year that you either get on it or you're going to miss out for maybe forever.
Be
You
careful
have to
because
be on it.
you're gonna get me really excited because that's what I do, by the way.
I know. We gotta chat, man. So
Yeah.
it's AI, getting that incorporated into my business, right? AI, the automations. I just started with a different CRM system that has a lot of automation. But I came from technology. When I left that world, I was like, I don't want anything to do with servers and Cisco and networks. I want to be in the ocean, but you can be a pirate in this century. It's you got to come back. So that's the
Unless you live
biggest
in
thing.
Somalia.
Exactly, exactly. That's a good one. So it's marketing, artificial intelligence, automations, and using that for our benefit. It's a big thing.
Yeah, I love that, and I definitely want to double click on that at some point.
Yeah.
Let's see, what's your long term goal for the business? Where are you hoping to get to?
Yeah, so expansion. Right now, the dream is bigger. We learned so much, 10 years, doing for a long time. I did everything wrong. If I was doing really great, but I didn't have any corporate or business experience. I never went to business school. I dropped out of high school. I was 16 years old. Not an excuse, but I didn't want. I thought I could scale up with my own experience, right? And when you get to a certain level, you're like, man, this is not sustainable. So I started. I hired consulting companies, learned a whole bunch, been blessed, got put so many great people in my path. It's still there. I have consulting, I have coaches, but it's the next level to me is expansion, is get to a level where I have more freedom from the business.
Mm,
Uh, and I'm using my time to impact the kingdom, to advance the kingdom. That's really my vision right now for the company. I've been blessed with new employees that has really hugged that vision and helping me with that. So it's just a matter of time now to really explode in the industry, yacht sales, yacht management. Just keep leveling up.
I love that. Last question for you. Anytime I have a ruck guy on the show, I always like to hear. You've already shared about your kind of turnaround and how Jesus has really shaped the last 2 years of your life. But I always like to get a little soundbite. So, what in particular about Rise Up Kings has really changed your life, family, business, ministry, all the above?
Oh man, I have to say everything. It's really, it's before doing rock, I was doing coaches, going to big events, some big names which were and still are a blessing. Tony Robbins. There's the Brazilian Tony Robbins called Paulo Vieira, which was really the first one. I went to a 3-day event, and that 3-day event got me back to looking at, wait, I know that place, I know that path, with Christ, and business, focused on business, finances, family. But rock, I remember every time I left a conference, I was pumped for 3 weeks, and then I went on a drift. I would go on a drift until the next event, until the next
Mm,
conference. Rock, from the second I arrived, first of all, I didn't know what rock was. I'm the type of person that won't research. If I feel a pull towards something that is supposed to be great for me, I don't go research it. Like people
mm,
ask me, oh, what is going to happen? The only question I had was, how many push-ups do I have to do? I was worried about push-ups and physical. And I'll never forget, the coach said, that's the least of your problems. Don't worry about it. You're going to change. But the biggest thing, I'd say everything, because when I came back home, I left the airport, I went straight to my parents' house, and I released forgiveness for pain, for years of pain and trauma and different things. My mom cried for 3 weeks. She thought she was a horrible mother, but she finally understood later. But my wife, she didn't realize she had a new man in the house until she went through the program with Rise Up Queens and Deeper. She did Rise Up Queens. When she went to Deeper, she came back. It was like I said, man, they refer it like it's a whole different woman. Now, because she forgave me. She forgave the old Felipe. The man I left in the mud, she couldn't, like, she didn't believe, she couldn't believe that I changed, and she was worried. So she would kind of hold back. She had barriers. She had the barrier still up. Her defense is still up for a year. But man, it changed until this day sticks. I don't feel the urge. I don't think it's not a sin to drink. It's not wrong to drink, to have a drink, to have a glass of wine, to have a whiskey. It's not. But for me, Felipe, that's a commitment I made, and everything changed. Like, I gave up everything that had a hold of me: nicotine, drinking, partying, everything, all the crazy stuff I used to do. Like, I just, that all broke down, and I have no desire whatsoever. It's like me thinking back now, living that life. I can't. It worries me. If so there was one day I was in a meeting with a shipyard, and I was in Europe, and what kind of person doesn't drink, right? They were like, all the waitress, they all came out. How come you're not having a drink with them? I was like, no, I don't drink. They brought me a drink they said it was non-alcoholic, right? But I felt the bubbles, I felt the taste. There was no alcohol in it, but I started feeling drunk. And that feeling of drunk was like, man, you're not going to wake up tomorrow at 4 a.m. to go for a run. You're not going to wake up to go to the gym. You're not going to focus on what you have to do here. That fear. So that all came with the commitment I made at Rock to focus on faith, family, fitness, and finance. Level, balance. I'm constantly checking, are those balanced? Right now, I feel that my finances are a bit down, my spiritual is very high. So let's start boosting, focusing on everything and leveling everything up, balancing everything out.
I love that, man. Thank you for sharing, dude. It's such an encouragement. I love the stories, and it's such a unique industry. Felipe, if people want to learn more about your business or what you do, where can they go?
Yes, they can go to underwayyachts.com or follow me on Instagram, Underway Yachts. And we have a YouTube channel. You just gave me a brilliant idea to start my podcast also. We start, connecting with, I have such an amazing clientele, people in the industry, shipyards, maybe we can do one or two together.
Let's do it. That'd be a lot of fun, man. Well, that's one of the, I personally, so just a little bit of a nugget about the podcast. I first started this and I just wanted to have conversations with business owners. It has become probably the single greatest way to grow my network, and it always leads to something, Yeah. And so I go in with every conversation. I'm like, I just want to have a good conversation and learn something. And it always, we always wind up talking shop. We always wind up talking about business, and I become a client of yours or you become a client of mine. It always winds up becoming that. And it dawned on me that that's literally what the podcasting world is. It's a bunch of guys trying to grow their brand, And so I love it, man. Well, thank you for coming on the show. Don't go anywhere because I want to keep talking, but thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you, man. Thank you for your persistency, and thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.